This week's episode is brought to you by Colorado Junk Removal.
No more junk, no more stress.
Got some junk laying around the house? You know, that refrigerator that hasn't worked in 2 years.
Yeah, the washer that you said you were going to fix, but you never have.
Absolutely. That couch that's got a big hole in it that you're not probably ever going to give to anybody.
Fence posts that you're never going to fix either. I see
Exactly.
a trend here.
Yeah. Then you need to call Colorado Junk Removal.
What's that number, Dan?
719-249-1717.
You know what? You can also visit them on the web at coloradojunk.com. Or you can send them an email at coloradojunk or cojunkremoval@gmail.com.
Absolutely.
What was that email address again? cojunkremoval@gmail.com.
That's right. Or give them a call, like we said, 719-249-1717. Matt will come take care of all of your junk.
And remember, no more junk, no more stress.
Are quite good. Attack warning. Is it for real? Attack warning for bloody real.
Live from Colorado Springs, the Drop Culture Podcast.
Want to confirm, is this an exercise? Roger, copy. This is not an exercise.
Come on, put it down. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome, everybody, to the Dropped Culture Podcast. We're that podcast where we pick up that piece of pop culture that you forgot about or missed, shine it up real nice, and cram it in your ear holes. As every show starts, I'm Dan.
I'm Brock.
And, that's who we are.
We are the Drop Culture team. We are Sans one member of the team. His name is Mitch. Mitch, we miss you. You need to come back as soon as you can.
Yes. So we're going to do a little film today. This kind of started because we had done a Donnie Darko episode, if you've listened to that. If you haven't, go back in the archives, check it out. But this is the Patrick Swayze redemption podcast, if you will, after his character from that movie. And we're going to do a little dawn of podcasting here. No, I'm not talking about Steel Dawn. I'm talking about Red Dawn, Brock. That's what
Dawn.
we're doing.
Seriously, this movie right here is one of, I think everything is well placed. It is a great movie altogether.
Yeah, it's really good.
Not particularly 100% acted well by the younger actors, but they were still learning. But other than that, there's only a couple people that you're like, man, but it was powerful. Made sense.
Absolutely.
And the movie was just great. It was well directed, well written, well paced, everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Well shot. Yeah, I like the whole deal.
Yeah.
So let's get into this Red Dawn. So
what is Red Dawn about?
It's about some kids and some Wolverines. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, this is at the height of the Cold War. Not necessarily the height. It was a tail end, I would say.
Yeah, like 1984, right?
Yeah. Tail end of the Cold War.
So this is like, this is Rocky 4 times.
Yep.
Rambo 2.
Yeah. So it's basically, this one, though, was so good because they showed all the other, like we did the other Apocalypse trilogy, right?
Correct.
The Thanksgiving specials that we did, which were Threads, Day After Tomorrow, and Testament, right?
Yes.
Now, those kind of break your heart, and it really shows 3 distinct sides of the conflict.
And when you do all those back to back, it will put you in a month of depression.
Yes, it will.
Especially
around the holidays.
Yeah, I have already billed all of my psychiatric fees to the Drop Culture Podcast,
Nice.
just so you know.
Well, I'm used to it. But the way this one is, okay, so this is told from kind of like the ground level of something that not necessarily was a nuclear war, but another war.
Right.
A war that pops up. So it's the United States gets invaded by the Soviet Union and Cuban and Nicaraguan allies.
Yeah.
So you got three different
Which
sets,
really
right?
kind of makes sense at the time. I mean, that's like somebody did their homework a little bit there.
Right. Oh, yeah, big time. Even some of the opening crawls that they were kind of showing how things were breaking down, they don't really get into it. That's one really cool thing about this. They don't really 100% tell you what's going on, like you're part of the movie, you're part of the cast until a certain point in the movie.
Yeah, you are learning as they learn.
Yes.
Which is always, I always kind of like movies where they unfold that way and not everything's given to you right up front.
Right.
Yeah.
And when we're going through the movie, you'll see certain parts and you'll notice where they're progressing at a rate that seems natural for something like this. And especially because they're basically after we get invaded, this small Colorado town, the kids, Calumet, yeah.
Yeah, which was actually originally meant to be Calumet, Michigan.
Oh.
That's the original writer.
Yeah.
Wanted it to be Calumet, Michigan, but they decided that it needed to be somewhere a little more central.
Yeah, and because of the logistics of the actual invasion, which is absolutely spot on. But Milius actually grew up in Colorado in a mountain town, and he injected that part of him in there because that's all him and his friends did. They went out hunting and they kind of lived off the land. But he was one of those.
He's from St. Louis originally, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's one of those. How do you say? He's kind of like he wants to be a mountain man. He was part of that generation that was very gung ho. So he's a conservative at the same time. He does have a lot of liberal tendencies as well.
Sure.
So when it comes to guns and things like that, he's like, "Fuck you! I'm gonna pry it from my cold dead hands" type stuff.
Well, this movie. So let's get a little bit into the production of this movie because this movie was a little bit divisive among like the NRA. Like there was a huge controversy. Like liberals were like, "This is just like pro-gun movie." But one of the things I noticed in the movie is that they are just using like guns that you would have. There's nothing crazy. Like they have rifles. They have, when they do get the other stuff, it's because they've taken those from the invading people.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
That's something
which
you don't
we'll
ever
talk,
see. Yeah,
right.
It's like guerrilla warfare.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, I don't think that's so divisive. You know, they're using stuff that is normal guns, and I would say I've always said on this show, you know, I'm definitely a socially liberal person, but I'm a conservative when it comes to the fiscal side of it. But as far as guns go, I think there's a reason that's in our Constitution, and I think you should be able to own guns. Do I think everybody should be able to own
walk around Safeway with them?
Yeah, well, or have like a a rail gun in their house? No.
Who needs a rocket launcher, right? It's cool.
Who needs that Barrett 50 sniper rifle? Probably not the guy that should have it.
The leisurely target shooter.
So I feel pretty balanced in that. But that's the one thing I took away when I was reading about like all this divisiveness. I'm like, but they're just using basically hunting rifles.
Right.
And there's like a couple pistols in there that they have.
Well, whenever they stop at one point and they get a whole bunch, they just get American weapons, or not. There's no such thing as American weapon, but they get the sporting goods weapons, the ones that you would buy over the counter. Right. So that's what they have at first. Yeah. And
they're in Colorado, so of course they have hunting rifles. They have those things.
Right. And they're supposedly right by the mountains. Where they're close enough. And again, it was like they all grew up around that stuff. Not every one of them, even though it was a smaller town,
right?
But still,
well, some people aren't into that, even if they're in a small town,
right?
You know
right,
I mean?
Yeah. But like his dad or Jed's dad and Maddie's dad were basically, he was like, he was a cop, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure he was the sheriff.
I don't think that they say that, do they?
I think they allude to it
that.
where like they went to the station and they picked him up,
Yeah.
But
I mean, I watched it for this, but I don't remember that portion.
Yeah, I think.
Not saying you're wrong.
Yeah, I think whenever he was talking to Ben Johnson or something like that, whenever he gives him the radio and ice and stuff, he mentions something about that part of it.
That might be.
Just like whenever Maybe because that was after. Anyway.
This was actually filmed in Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Yeah, which I'm going through next month.
Yeah, I've been there. I actually drove down and stayed in Las Vegas. The Montezuma Hot Springs are there.
Nice.
And they're free to go to. And then when I was in the Army here, I took a trip down there, and it was really cool. And then I went back like recently, not like maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
And it was like a big muddy mess of, I mean, the hot springs were still there, but
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
the same. You know what
Well,
I mean?
I think the Calumet sign is still up, and there's a couple of other things because I watched one dude go through the filming locations,
Like
which
the
is pretty cool.
Safeway?
Yeah,
that they used?
the Safeway was used.
They
Yeah,
just
I
found a
don't.
defunct Safeway and
Yeah.
like, let's turn this into a studio.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things that they multi-purposed
Yes.
in that place, and supposedly the McDonald's is still there, same spot, same sign, things like that. But
What I thought was, go ahead.
no, go for it.
What I thought was really cool was like, obviously they had to create some of the Russian vehicles.
Yeah.
And the CIA was actually tracking them.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what was going on because they were bringing them from like Los Angeles to Las Vegas, New Mexico. And yeah, so I'm sure they probably felt pretty stupid once they realized it was just a movie.
Yeah, and they were all
Like,
plastic.
Can't you investigate?
Yeah, they got reports of seeing strange army vehicles going through town, and how they got them right. That was the scary part about it because they
Right.
were described, and then the CIA saw them and was like, "Holy crap, those are legit!
Yeah.
What is that?
So, yeah.
It's a fucking Ford F-150."
Definitely some wacky stuff as far as like the filming of this goes.
Yeah. Well, of course, the director John Milius, before he did this, he had done Conan, of course, and he is that blood
Wasn't
and
he
guts.
Also the screenwriter for Apocalypse Now, right?
Yeah, and also, God, what else did he do? Dirty Harry 1 and 2.
Yeah, he wrote those.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's often described as the over the top kind of asshole back in the day. Like people would come in for meetings and he would have a loaded 45 on his desk.
Yeah.
He was a badass, and I respected John Milius's gung ho kind of attitude, like Rough Rider type stuff. That's where we even get that in this movie. He injects a lot of his stuff into that pure machismo, like sword and sandals, mixed with modern times type shit. He's a very macho dude, right?
Right.
I think whenever he was getting the money for Dirty Harry or something like that, they were in some hotel and all they were doing was riding motorcycles.
Well, so
using the money.
when he came to Colorado specifically, it was because, like in his words, he was a juvenile delinquent, so he was sent to a school here.
Yeah.
In Steamboat Springs.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because his family had moved to California.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got sent here because he was an asshole.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
People do stuff when they're young. That's
Well,
fine.
he was the renegade out of all of those earlier directors. Now, doing a John Milius episode would be cool, but just real quick, he was 100% Francis Ford Coppola's friend.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody looked to him like he was their older crazy brother. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like he was a badass and nobody would mess with him. He was a biker dude that could transcend between the nerdy dudes and the biker guys. You know what I mean? But yet still wax poetically more than anybody else could. You know?
Absolutely.
Shakespearean kind of like, I'm going to show you how fucking badass I am.
Yeah.
And John Milius, he's really got that personality. I think he's had 2 strokes or something crazy.
And
like
he
that.
was one of the co-creators of Rome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Never watched it.
it was good.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it all, but I watched, I don't know, some of it.
Well, he's the one that came up with the phrase apocalypse now.
Yeah.
He actually would take the peace symbols, the peace symbol buttons that they would do, and turn them on their side and then make it look like a B-2 bomber.
Nice.
And he would put Apocalypse Now on it.
Really?
Yeah, that was his thing. That was one of his things back in the 60s. So, yeah, whenever they all graduated and got out and they did American Zoetrope, he had done so many different writing jobs. He was one of the highest paid writers at one point. Just like this movie holds a distinction of having a world record.
Yes,
back that same
at the
year.
time, yeah, for sure.
The most violent movie ever made at that point.
And we should probably say, too, this is the first PG-13 movie ever.
Yeah, that's right.
And this movie would be a hard R now.
Oh, my God.
For sure.
Big time.
I think it was Spielberg that really banged hard for the PG-13 thing to be a thing.
Yeah, it was like
maybe years before. I think it had to do with Gremlins.
Yeah, Gremlins.
Yeah.
That's right, because it was so violent and
Right.
kind of gross.
Yeah.
But I could see that. But it was supposed to be even more than that.
Right.
And, you know, the original Gremlins was supposed to be like crazier.
Oh yeah, of course.
So
But yeah, so the first PG-13 movie ever, it's in the Guinness Book of World Records because the amount of people killed in this movie as the
per
most
minute.
violent
Yeah.
movie ever. I think it was like 20. I don't know what it was,
Crazy.
but yeah, it's a lot of people die.
And it doesn't really seem like that because of the way that the pacing goes for it.
Right.
Because you don't really pay it. You're not looking for that, of course.
And it's not over the top like nowadays movies,
Right,
you know.
right.
Where,
yeah.
like if they redid Red Dawn, not like the 2012 or whatever that movie was
Screw
with
that
Skinny
movie.
Josh,
Yeah.
and one of the Hemsworths, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Or Liam. No.
I don't remember.
Chris Hemsworth. Yeah.
I watched that once and I was almost threw up in my mouth.
Yeah.
It was so terrible.
I shot my TV.
Yeah, it's like the Point Break remake.
Stop it.
But yeah, if they remade this today, like the only thing that would have going for it is all of like the after John Wick.
Yeah. You have before John Wick, after John Wick. It would be more close-up fighting of them going in there like ninja style or something.
Well, and who wants that?
Nobody.
Because these are kids,
Right.
You know, and their strategies work because of where they grew up.
Yeah, their strategies work for it, and they have no knowledge to conflict with anything that they're doing.
Exactly.
So they're just thinking about how to physically win. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
But they all have that background in sports. It seemed like everybody in that show or in the movie has a background of the
at
football.
least
and
Jed
stuff.
and Maddie for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know about the youngest dude.
C. Thomas Howell.
Well, C. Thomas Howell, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
But from
Oh,
what
the other, yeah.
Yeah, from what I remember with C. Thomas Howell too, researching, is he was more of a, oh my God, he was more of a Rough Rider for real. Like his dad was
Really?
a stuntman or something,
Oh, I did not know that.
and he spent all of his
I
life on
assumed
movie
that-
sets. Yeah,
His parents were Mr. and Mrs. Howell
yeah.
from Gilligan's
Hey,
Island.
love you. Yeah. No, but like he was a
His name's C. Thomas Howell.
right. He was a really he would ride in rodeos,
Okay.
things like that. So he always had the most advanced horses and whatnot. And
I
he
could
was,
see that, yeah.
He was more of opposite of what his character was,
Right,
right?
where he was more Jed.
Yes. Well, and him and Patrick Swayze had been in a movie together before that, and they were friends all the way up until his death.
Was that The Outsiders?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have Charlie Sheen, which this was Charlie Sheen's first movie.
Right, and so let's break that down. So Jed, who's our like main leader of the protagonist band, the older brother
The older brother.
of Maddie, is played by Patrick Swayze.
Fucking badass.
He is Patrick Swayze. Unlike his Donnie Darko character, he is a badass.
Yes.
Um,
Reluctant hero.
yeah, a reluctant leader,
Yes.
which are usually the best leaders.
Yeah. The ones that know that they have to do it.
Right. And then, of course, we have his little brother, Maddie, who's played by his first role,
Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen, before he was canceled.
Yes.
And
Rightfully so.
apparently, I don't know.
Yeah. Got C. Thomas Howell.
C. Thomas Howell.
C. Thomas Howell's been in a lot of movies.
Absolutely. Especially in the 80s. I mean, that was his heyday.
Yeah. And early 90s, too, because he was part of that the Tommy Chong vehicle. Far Out Man.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. That's the second time that's been brought up on this show. Are
And then
we going to have to do an episode on that?
I don't know, maybe. So then you got Leah Thompson right before.
She's been in a couple things.
Yeah.
You're talking about Leah Thompson of Howard the Duck fame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The only movie that matters. But yeah, this was before Back to the Future. Everything exploded for her, right? Rightfully so. She's a great actress. She seems like a genuinely nice person. Yeah.
Then you get Jennifer Grey.
Yeah, Leah Thompson, I hit puberty watching Howard the Duck. And I was like, boing. Yeah.
What was Leah Thompson's character's name?
I don't remember.
You should probably know that.
I'll find it.
Pull up something real quick.
Yeah.
Just going from memory.
She was Erica.
Erica, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
She was Erica. Jennifer Grey, which was Tony.
And obviously, we get, this is a few years before we get Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze's big, kind of movie, Dirty Dancing,
Yeah.
which is really weird because they hate each other.
Yeah, yeah.
They hate each other on this set, and apparently they hated each other on the Dirty Dancing set, which is weird because they had chemistry.
Yeah, yeah. Of course. And Patrick Swayze, on one of the behind-the-scenes documentaries I watched, said that since he was the older and he was the leader, John Milius was basically telling him what to tell them, motivation, this and that, which caused a lot of resentment. But I could see why he did that. I could see why Milius was like, "You're gonna have to make decisions. You're gonna have to take all that shit." And he was like, "Man, I hated it. They all hated me, but rightfully so. But I was technically directing the movie from the director's mouth. You know?
He was the AD.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is kind of crazy, because I mean, the foresight in some of the directors that direct films like this, they're like, guess what? This is the way we got to do it. We got to piss people off. I.e., Stanley Kubrick. Yeah,
Well, Milius was already a hard ass.
Yeah.
He
knew what he wanted.
Right.
It was on the page and it was good. Right. He knew what he was worth. So then after Jennifer Grey and them, we have Ben Johnson. Yes. Right? Now we have another badass.
Are you talking about Mr. Powers Booth?
Yes. Now Powers Booth, God rest his soul. There's two people in this movie that have passed, and I bet you Ben Johnson has too, but Swayze and Powers Booth. Now Powers Booth lends a sense of he is like the older brother, there's like 3 different generations of people whenever he shows up.
Right.
But yeah, he's a military tactician, but not necessarily, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was a pilot.
Yeah,
in the Air Force, and when we get to that portion, we can talk more about his character and where that story arc was supposed to go. And
yeah.
Luckily, it didn't.
Yeah, good. But then also, here's another little bitty...
And you guys will know Powers Booth, of course. If you don't, you should. He's been in everything. Like, I feel like he's been in a lot of stuff. But, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, he was on the movie.
He was Curly Bill.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
And he was also...
Tombstone.
Yes.
Not the pizza.
He was on another apocalyptic movie made by HBO, by Dawn's Early Light.
Oh, there you go.
And that was done in 1990.
Okay.
The end of the Cold War. Then we also have
Tear down that wall.
We have William Smith. Which William Smith
not
was...
Will Smith. Not that one.
Which was Conan's dad.
Yes.
And he is the main badass in this. And then one of the last movies we talked about before Donnie Darko, he was in that too.
What movie was that?
I don't know.
Okay.
So I'll remember.
Good content right here. I'm going to bring up this point and not have the actual answer.
But also, you got Harry Dean Stanton, too.
Yes.
Harry Dean Stanton, he's a very, very great character actor, things like that.
Been in a lot of stuff.
It's the same way with him, too. Any Which Way You Can. There was a lot of movies that he was in. I'm trying to think of the one that we did not too long ago. He's been in so many things, though. And... that's your big time cast right there.
Yeah.
Now you do have even the general and the general's aide, I guess the Cuban guy.
Yes.
They were both kind of in a lot of movies too.
Absolutely.
Well. I don't remember their actual names or whatnot.
They were in some movies.
There's a lot of things that I don't remember no most.
No more.
Yeah. So you have this wonderful cast, this very, very remote location, so you can almost do what you want to with it. You have the views of everything, you have the background, and now you put it all together, and then you have the beginning of the movie. Like how I wrapped that one up. Right?
That was nice.
That was pretty good.
Pretty good guy.
Oh, he was on Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Oh,
yep.
There you go. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, he was a bad guy in that too. Okay, so... getting into the movie, the very, very beginning kind of tells how the world is breaking down and how America becomes alone in everything, right? So NATO dissolves, right? Soviet Union and its Warsaw Pact allies aggressively expand, right? The Ukrainian wheat harvest fails whilst a socialist coup d'etat occurs in Mexico. So you have the straight area to go straight into, America.
Right.
But we don't know that at that point.
No.
So right now they're basically dropping some people off at school and they're just talking football, regular stuff like that, right?
And obviously Jed, Patrick Swayze's character, is graduated. He's a little bit older,
Yeah.
and he's dropping his little brother off at school.
Because he's going to be working all day at the shop.
Yep.
So I guess he's a mechanic.
I don't know, but I assume he's like 18, 19.
Yeah. He's got to be,
Yeah.
right? Maybe 20.
Maybe 20.
Maybe 20. Yeah. Because he just seems a little bit more mature, but it's because he was out of school. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
So makes sense.
And he was the older brother.
Right.
So that tends to put more on you.
Right.
Yeah.
So the teacher's teaching, and that's a John Milius cameo too, because Genghis Khan is
Yes.
John Milius, and he always wanted to make
the
that
Genghis
movie.
Khan poster.
Yeah.
Picture.
And then that guy is also famous as well. He was on that little
Genghis
movie.
Khan, yeah, he was pretty famous. He one of the few people that conquered the world.
Yeah, I think
No
we're
world.
descendants of him anyway.
Probably.
But
Showed him his Khan.
but the teacher was on a little known movie called Last Action Hero. He was a police chief,
There you go.
the yelling police chief.
And that's where we get the perspective of basically him seeing this.
Yeah, he's like, they're way off course, right? So everybody, he just kind of is talking in the middle of his lecture, stops, looks out the window.
And people are parachuting
And
down, soldiers.
Yeah, soldiers. And of course, nobody really knows, but, being kind of caught off guard, he walks straight out the door, back door, and I was like, you guys can't be here. What are you guys doing here? Are you off course? Where are you? Boom, 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 boom.
Yep,
Because you
and-
see them all dropping, and they're dropping smoke, and they're doing this and that. You didn't hear any planes.
Nope.
Because I didn't. They
Nope.
must have done a really high drop or
There you
something
go.
like that.
They did a halo drop,
Yeah. Yeah.
high altitude.
Yeah. They were really up there.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning, right? So all of a sudden, they get in there and they're firing rockets in the fucking school, right? They're shooting. They open fire on the classroom, right? And the one kid dies immediately. I was looking for that too on this one.
Just the one kid dying.
Right.
Yeah.
I was looking for it. I
All
really
these
was.
soldiers are shooting.
Yeah, and one
One
dude dies. Yeah, and the teacher.
Well, yeah, but the
Yeah.
teacher was out there.
So it's all pandemonium
Yes.
out there in the actual parking lot, the dirt parking lot of the high school, right? And they're coming in, shooting all the cars. People are trying to get away, and then all of a sudden, Jed shows up. He's like, "Come on, get in!"
Get in.
So they go through, and
like, a bunch of them jump in. Yeah.
right. So you got all the main characters, except for at the very end, one of the last people to get in to the truck, and I'll tell you how this works later on. But he jumps in. They don't really know him too much, right? With that, they blow up the whatnot, the freaking school bus. They get into the school bus, completely blow that to smithereens. They pick up the last people. They're hauling ass through the town, right? That's when you see like everything happening there too. People are just standing there. The one that has that scene where it's, you can have my gun when you pry it from my cold dead hands, and he pries it from his cold dead hands.
Yes.
And he tries to stop them, and they're like, "Rrrr," and like stunt driving and shit.
Yep.
In
That was a very telegraphed little
yeah, yeah,
little piece.
Well, and that was basically the that bumper sticker is almost the antithesis of somebody like that.
Yes.
But then something happening. So it's like it's a love letter to America.
A little bit. I know,
You know
how
what
much
I
you love
mean?
that phrase.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they get through, right? Home dudes. There's one dude, the Mexican kid's dad pops up, and they end up getting him.
Right.
So they're going through the whole deal, and they take the hell off, and they get out to the country, right? So they go to C. Thomas Howell's father's place,
Which
It's
is like a
goods.
sporting goods store.
Right.
Yeah.
They see the helicopters. They're all like, I don't know what's going on. They're like, get in here, get food, get supplies, get everything.
He's
And
smart. He
yeah.
sends them out into the woods right away.
Yeah, he's like, you need to get out of here because he's so close to the end, He's like,
Right.
don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. And so they get moving, right? and they're about to get outside, right? They're literally about to get outside city limits, and there's already a blockade.
Yep.
And the blockade starts firing at them, but they're like, whoa, fuck it. Boom. They go off the side of the road, basically. And then the American troops show up. And they know it's them. They destroy them all. And so they're kind of there, right there. But then it cuts back to the actual city, right?
Yes.
So all the invaders are there. And he's
The
like,
town. I wouldn't call it a city.
yeah. Yeah. So he's like, I need you to go get records of everybody that owns a gun.
Okay.
Because go to the local sporting goods store. He says, go to the local sporting goods store, find out who bought guns, when they bought them, who owns them, and then find all those people.
Right.
So immediately they had this plan in action. Like, Americans are registered.
Most of them.
Guess what? Boom, 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 boom. So, they got to round everybody up, anybody that might cause them issues.
Sure.
Right? And that's where, the last time I watched it, I was like, oh, okay. That's where they got the records from. They just weren't looking for it. That was planned.
And I don't know about the 80s, like as far as that goes, like what their laws were then.
Yeah.
But like in Colorado, as long as you have a Colorado driver's license, you're registered to buy a gun. But you do have to file paperwork at wherever you're buying them.
Right. I bet you it's something like that too, because that was before or during the Brady Bill type stuff.
Yeah.
So, waiting periods and all that stuff like that. So it's kind of in that area. I don't know exactly when it was. I think Reagan got shot in 82 or something. I don't remember.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So they actually are tending to the wounds of the truck.
Yes.
And he's like, okay, I got it patched up, but we don't got any water. He's like, how about we piss in it? And that's one of the scenes that I think sticks with everybody.
Yeah, he's like, that's a good idea.
So already you're seeing that they're kind of, the two of them, Charlie Sheen and him, Patrick Swayze, are kind of more like, hey, let's think around this shit, right?
Well, and yeah, I think that speaks to the way they were raised, which you get a little bit later.
Right. So they're up on the mountain. And I love the scene because like Jed making a fire and stuff, and they're like, we need to go home. I need to go home. And he's like, dude, you can't go back. That's fucking World War III down there.
Yeah,
that is
no
World War III.
Yeah.
We cannot go down there. We got to wait it out, do whatever we have to, but we're not going to have any food. Well, we've lived here our whole lives, and we've come up to these since we were little. So we know how to hunt. We can get food. We can find water. We could do whatever we need to. We could stay here for a really, really, really long time. So what month was it that this?
September's when it starts.
Okay.
Because then it starts giving us the months throughout the movie.
Yeah, so they're up there until, well, that's whenever, of course, the student body president decides to be like, I'm the student body president.
I should be in charge.
Yeah, he's like, no. So I love it how he like knocks him over the fire and stuff and then throws his backpack at him. He's like, get your shit and go.
Yeah.
Take your shit and leave, And of course, Charlie Sheen's like, I'm your brother, man. I'll be here with you. Cool, right? So you already have that very, very close bond of some survivalist people that know what the hell they're doing, right? And then you have all the other nerdy dudes. C. Thomas Howell's like, all right, cool, I'm part of you guys.
Right.
So he decides to stay. And then we get into the month of October. And that's when they kind of go back to go take a look, right?
Yeah.
So they, I guess the bombs and things like that have kind of stopped a little bit. So the fighting has kind of stopped. So they roll up. They're walking through, right? They're still wearing the same clothes that they had on before, And they're like, oh, my God, it looks normal. Let's go back. Let's run. And he's like, no.
Yeah, no.
That's not us. So they go back into the town. When they're walking through town, that's when they see that basically it's been taken over. They're burning books. They have a propaganda store.
They have a prison camp.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they go to the place.
A re-education camp, I think they call it.
Yeah, it was weird, too. That was crazy. Because that's like they're almost like their airfield, too.
Yeah.
So it's at the old drive-in. The woman tells them at the store that, hey, there's the drive-in. Everybody knows who you are. You need to get out of here. Kind of just go.
Right.
And they still don't know what's really going on, right? So then they go back to the deal where they go to the drive-through or drive-through. They go through the actual drive-in, and they're sitting there.
No end in.
Yeah, and they actually see their father. Right. And he's like, "Listen, boys, I was tough on you back then, but there was a reason. Now you should understand why I was." Like he knew that shit was going to happen, right?
I knew when we got invaded by those pinko commie.
Ruskies. No.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. So they actually have that really big emotional moment. See Thomas Howell's like, "Have you seen my dad?" You know, and he's like, "No, son, I don't know where he is."
Yeah, there's a point where Charlie Sheen says "Daddy" one more time, and I'm like, "Oh, dude, I get you're in high school, but
and it's emotional,
Daddy."
Yeah, it's really emotional, and when they're walking away. That's some of the best lines in the movie. "Avenge me." I love it, right? You're like, yes. So they end up going back, right? And they know, hey, this is what we got to do.
Right.
We gotta go survive. We got to go do this.
Is this when we meet the Masons?
Yeah, you go to Home Dude's place, Ben Johnson's place, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Here's a radio, and it's frozen in ice."
Yeah.
You know, which I'm like, how does that work? But I could get it, you know, if it's a waterproof transistor or something. And he's like, "I got more of those, you know."
This he hooks them up with a lot.
Yeah, and he tells them, "Hey, this is what happened." You know, they came.
Yeah, we
up
get
through
the
here.
story.
Yeah, we get that very beginning, and they're just like, "Damn," right? He's like, "You're behind enemy lines, ratting shit," you know. And they don't really allude to what's going on in the rest of the country, but you just know that's that little piece that progresses you a little bit further into where they are, right?
So, is this where we get the girls?
Yes.
Yeah, and the horses.
Yeah, the girls and the horses, because he's like, "Hey, I got a couple of heirlooms I want to leave with you," and it's them, but you have no idea what really happened to them.
Right.
But he does say something like the Russians got a hold of them, something or other. So,
and there's a reason because which one of them doesn't talk?
Leah Thompson.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah, she really doesn't. Jennifer Grey doesn't have any lines in this, I don't think.
Not any major ones.
Yeah.
But like they both have lines.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, especially at first though, Leah Thompson's character does not talk because she's been through some shit, obviously.
Right. And what's really bad about it too is they're just misogynistic men too. It's like, "Go clean the dishes." "I ain't cleaning your shit."
At least they stand up for themselves and they show that portion.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Especially
right?
in 1984.
Yeah, there's no law whenever you're on the run from a war,
Right.
in the middle of nothing. You know, but you can do whatever you want to. You know what I mean? And so, so they end up there, and that's where we get where they're hunting. And C. Thomas Howell kills his first deer.
Yes.
And he has to drink the blood of the deer.
As you do.
Yeah, he's like, "That's the soul of the deer,
Or
man."
eat the heart.
Yeah.
Your choice.
So you'll never be the same after this. And that's when kind of C. Thomas Howell takes that kind of turn.
Yeah.
You know, he kind of gets into this is the only real slower setup part of the whole movie, I think, besides all the other action that comes after this.
I think that was important character development, though.
For
within
everyone.
the story. Yeah, everybody. Because you could see, you had a little bit of Jed being the leader, but this is where he's really like on an individual level becoming a leader.
Yeah, teaching people this and teaching people that. And he's got his little brother there, too, that knows almost everything that he does, you know. And they had to grow up really fast. You know, and then of course, man, they're all like, "I want to go home. I want to go check this out. I got to go. I just want to lay in my bed and stuff like that." You know, it's just not going to happen, right? And this isn't this where they're going to the very top of they're at the mountain, the Russian dudes.
Yes,
and
they're like taking pictures.
Yeah, of the little monument right there.
Yeah.
And he totally misreads the whole freaking thing, and it doesn't make sense. He's like 30,000 people were dead or something like that.
Yeah, like it. But it was just like a dedicated national forest.
Yeah.
Like that's Theodore Roosevelt or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So totally easy to, like, I guess, misread or something.
I can't read Russian.
Right.
So-
But he loved American culture, right?
Right.
So then he sees an arrow on the ground, and he's like, "Look, it's a American Indian arrow." And he's like, "Did they have steel?" "No, shut up, stupid." And they're all hiding behind the rocks because they were
like
right there
below them.
Right. Yeah. And so Jennifer Grey slips because he's like, "Oh, look over there." And it's like, so she goes down and they're like, holy shit, let's go get him, right? So that's when, the big, I guess, Nicaraguan dude or whatnot, Nicaraguan or Cuban guy, Mexican guy, whatever he was, and the two little Russian cosmonauts there, they go after one of them, right?
Right.
They're running after Jennifer Grey. Home dude pulls out the arrow and shoots him in the back.
Yes.
Ugh. He's like, oh, god dang, man, that would suck. And then Jennifer Grey ends up killing him with his own weapon.
Yes.
And then you get to see kind of what they have to do because they know it's a world war. Jed comes up and kills one dude. It's like, God help me.
Yeah. And then they take the other one prisoner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they take the one prisoner that they like knock out or whatnot, right?
Right.
They kill the younger one, and he's looking, and literally just I guess the overall telling of that was he's another kid.
Yeah.
He's a kid in that army, versus these guerrilla army Americans, but Jed has to do the bad thing or the thing that
must be done.
Yeah, for war. And then
I think there's some similarities to like the Revolutionary War with the guerrilla warfare things that go on here.
Yeah.
Just like they did there, which is pretty interesting, and younger people being involved, because that was how it was.
Yeah, and that one general,
troops.
the one Cuban general,
Mm-hmm.
that's the one that's in charge of that whole section or whatnot, is always like, I've always been on the insurgent side.
Right.
So I know how that is. I've never been on this side of it. I don't know what we're supposed to do.
What's he say that they're bullies or cops? Or
yeah. I didn't sign up to be a policeman.
Yeah.
And which makes sense. So you have the reluctance, which is a very good balance, but it's not too overtly one side or overtly the other side. It's leans towards more the American side, the invaded versus the other ones. But you can see their reluctance on everything and how they're just
his reluctance specifically.
Yeah, because he was a revolutionary.
Right.
He was part of the revolution.
He was fighting against the oppressors.
Right. But yet they eventually won. So he still wanted to be part of it, which is weird.
And then the next thing that we get to is the execution, right? Where they're killing all the parents. Like, I think Jed's dad's in there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we get that the mayor's collaborating with them.
Yeah, because he's
and
like,
that guy always plays like a political douchebag. Yes. Like in everything he's in, he's always like God, I hate that guy.
Yeah. So they're digging the graves for the Russians and the Cuban dude, right? So they're having to dig their graves for them, and they're having that like it's like a four gun salute, and they have everybody lined up with their back turned, and then home dude's dad, the one that was running towards the truck at the very beginning, the flare side.
Yes.
He starts singing America the Beautiful or something like that. And that's when they just mow him down. Yep. And Charlie Sheen's like, oh my God. That's when he saw his dad die. Yep. So they're all still emotional. They know that things going on because they go back to the camp and everything. I mean, it gets, that's pretty deep having to watch something like that. But he's the only one that sees it.
Right.
He was just out on a recon, I guess. At this point, too, they're like, screw it. We're going to go take these people out. Let's do what we can.
Right.
We got to fight back. We got to stand up. So they still have their old weapons, and they slowly just build up.
Right. They start taking weapons from them.
Grenades, claymores.
Rocket launchers,
which is freaking awesome, dude.
For sure.
Yeah, they go crazy on that, right? That's when they're kind of getting their role. The what I guess.
By the way, wasn't the mayor also the attorney in My Cousin Vinny?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like
He's just a weird dude.
Yeah. He was the prosecuting attorney.
Oh.
Pretty sure.
For My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah. Now I got
But we see them kind of start with the spider hole trap. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They kind of go in, and Jennifer Grey rides by, and they're like, "Hey, pretty lady," they're like, "Fill her up." They like go to the gas station to put gas in the tank, right? So she takes they take something from her, like her basket, and she starts to run away, and then it explodes.
Yes.
On the tank. It's like boom. So that's when the spider hole thing happens, and you get this really cool, like, we're going to start taking care of business, Elvis
Business.
style.
Yeah.
Kind of montage, where
Right.
they go after everybody. And Jennifer Grey is always the one that's like planting the bombs or doing something
yeah.
like that. She goes into the communist headquarters and does the same thing.
Yep.
And it explodes that whole little propaganda store or like the bar,
Yeah.
linens or something.
And of course, after they're yelling Wolverines because that's their mascot for their hometown football team.
Yeah, where do they get spray paint at?
Sporting goods store? I don't know. Why would you take that? I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
know.
one of them was going to huff it later. I
Maybe,
don't know.
yeah, maybe.
This doesn't work out. I'm at least going to be high.
Yeah, because what soldier do you know has spray paint?
No.
They just left that little bit out, but and they probably had it. So that's when Powers Booth shows up. Okay.
Yeah, his plane gets shot down.
So Leah Thompson's out in the woods, kind of walking around. She sees some dude laying underneath because she sees a parachute, and sees some dude laying underneath a tree. Goes over there and like captures him. Technically, she's like, "Hey, yowie wowie."
Well, that was supposed to be a big portion of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Was they were supposed to get it on and like become a couple, but then they cut that out because of the age difference.
Mm-hmm. It was
And
about a 20
Leah
year.
Thompson only signed up for it because of that interaction.
That's right. She saw something in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the one of the reasons. The other one is Milius asked him if you could kill a rabbit or something like that.
That was when he had the actresses actually come in to try out for it.
Could you do this?
And if they said no, they were done. And obviously, Leah Thompson and Jennifer Grey were like, "Kill that, eat it."
Yeah, I could do it.
I can do it.
Yeah. So Powers Booth, he shows up and he's getting all warm, and you have C. Thomas Howell all mad dogging him and stuff, and he's like, pfft. He's like looking at him like, "You're just a bunch of kids. What the hell is this?" And this is before their legend has grown. You know what I mean? So,
but he kind of tells them what's going on. Like,
How
this is
they
where
came
we kind
through.
of get some more of the story,
right.
the backstory on how this invasion happened. So, yeah.
Okay.
So we learn a little more because there were some nuclear strikes. We find out.
Yeah, there's he shot down it was 4 against 1. He shot down 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's how he survived. So yeah, of course he's a badass, right? So several American cities, right, including DC, right, was destroyed by nuclear strikes, right? And SAC was crippled by Cuban saboteurs. And paratroopers were dropped from airlines to seize key positions in preparation for assaults via Mexico and Alaska.
Which
they
makes
just
a
brought
little
them in
more sense for
commercialized, yeah.
Colorado to be there,
Yeah.
as they're working their way wherever.
And they came over the Bering Strait, too.
Yeah,
through,
that's right. I
Through
remember.
Alaska, yeah. And most of the southern states and northern Canada are occupied by the Soviets. But American counterattacks at this point, they've stalled the advance through the Rockies and the Mississippi.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You have some physical barriers there.
Everything's kind of stabilized as far as where the lines are, right? And also the United Kingdom is trying to hold out, but they're almost gone.
Well, it's them and China are their allies in this, right?
Yeah, and he says 600 million Chinamen, screaming Chinamen are on our back. And he goes, wasn't there 1 billion? Yeah, so that's when we know about the bombs and stuff like that. It's like, oh. So no more nuclear bombs because they're afraid of the nuclear fallout at this point, too. So, he kind of shows them what they're made of. Jed does.
Mm-hmm.
Shows him, they go into that first, let's go, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, let's go do this. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, like he's like, okay.
So they go and they take that convoy down.
Yeah.
And he can see the potential. He's like, all right.
And obviously, I mean, they're pretty strategic with what they do, for being kids.
Yeah, they know where to set up, and it's from the hunting part of it. It had to have been,
Like even the little pop-up things that are a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
I
the
think.
spider holes.
Yeah.
It's like they knew some little things to be able to do stuff. Deer stands, hiding, camouflage, whatnot, right?
Right.
They had enough time to think about it, which is pretty cool. But then at that point, too, don't they go to visit Ben Johnson again after a couple of more raids and things like that? And you start seeing the Wolverines on everything.
Oh, yeah. It's
you
like
know?
spray painted on stuff.
Right. So Powers Booth goes with Jed, and they go to Home Dude's place, Ben Johnson's place. What are they called? The Masons.
The Masons, yeah.
So he goes up there to the Masons, and they're drinking moonshine and kind of talking through everything. And that's when he tells him, "Hey, listen, you're a leader. You're a leader now. You know, there's people have heard of you all the way somewhere else. You know." And then we get that story. Don't we get the story about like Denver, how it becomes medieval?
Yeah.
Where they're eating like sawdust bread and themselves because they've held out for so long and shit like that. So he's like, it's medieval over there. So it's kind of like how, was it Stalingrad back in World War II? What was the major city that was basically surrounded by the Germans? And
I think you're right.
It was the same thing.
Yeah.
And they had to do crazy stuff with, like, they were eating each other, and it was just bad. When you have no food coming in, you have nothing, and just bombs, you know? So you're living underground.
Can't eat bombs.
Probably ate all the dogs and cats first, you know? So it makes sense, right?
But I mean, I think that also shows like why this setting was so great, because these are people that can live off the land. Mm-hmm. They've been taught that their whole life, you know, at least some of them.
Right.
Yeah.
But they know, I mean,
you're not going to have that in Denver is all I'm saying.
No. Yeah. Cause they're up in a more remote location, but you do see again their, how do you say, their survivalist stuff, even whenever they're shooting, right? And he's like, you know, I used to study Jim Bridger and, you know, all the old mountain men. And he's like, don't shoot once, or only shoot once, never shoot twice, you know, so they can't find your location.
Right.
So you know that they have learned a lot of stuff, but that translates well into what they're having to do because they're like thrust into it.
Right.
Like Revolutionary War.
Wasn't it Powers Booth that tells them that, though? Like something about like being in the war and if you shoot 2 times?
No, that's whenever C. Thomas Howell kills the deer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when he's talking.
I believe you.
Yeah, and so, you know, of course, they're still taking on more shit and kind of really taking over the sector. And even that's pretty much the point where they get the Spetsnaz dude, right?
Right.
And the Spetsnaz dude is in Safeway. You know, he's in the produce section being like, hey, let's take these people down. We need to do this.
It's all about hunting a fox.
Yeah. But the Cuban dude has got his sunglasses on like a fucking badass, right?
Like a
sitting
boss.
in the front, sitting in the front row with his arms crossed, like whatever, right? And the other Soviet dude's like, yeah. So
it's the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, William Smith, you know. So apparently, around this point, the mayor's son gets caught. And they make him, we don't know this yet, right?
Yeah, so what we get basically is that, like, they're being tracked.
Mm-hmm.
A group of Russians come to them, basically.
Yeah.
And when they kill them, they find the tracking device, the locator, tracking locator.
Right.
And then they're, like, following that. And then it leads to that dude, the mayor's son. What's his name?
Yeah,
mayor's son, curly hair guy.
Yeah, but this is also after 2 people passed away. Too.
Yeah,
because
they
get shot
have
on the tank.
Yeah, because they bring tanks in to take them out.
Well, that's the front line.
Yeah,
right. And there's also rumors that they were going to drop in some special forces for them to help. Blah blah blah. Right. That's what Ben Johnson says because they're on their way to get him out of there.
Right.
Colonel Tanner or whatnot, Powers Booth. They're trying to get him out of there. Right. And so they're on the tank, and it comes up, and people are going nuts because, shit, you're right in front of a tank with no earplugs.
Right.
Fuck. Where are you going to go? You know what I mean? How is this going to work?
You're just going to drop grenades inside. That's
right.
What you do.
And Powers Booth says, shoot straight for once. Goddamn army. And it's like, boom. So that was the front line.
Yeah.
That was the front line of the war, which is kind of crazy because it was frontline, right? Like in the middle of Colorado. It's crazy. Yeah. So again, it's another one of those things that you look at and you're like, damn, they really made it seem like something like that was going on, you know? Not in the major movie way.
Right.
But like grounded, you know?
Yeah, and then again, I think that's what this movie does well. It's a grounded movie, and you're getting the information as they're getting the information.
Right.
So, again, you're on that journey with them, you know, not like, here's a title card and all the things that...
Here's what happened in the first act.
Yeah, that you didn't get to see.
Yeah. This whole time, though, too, we've had the evolution of C. Thomas Howell.
Yeah.
You know, kind of growing and Powers
Becoming
Booth.
more of a badass.
Yeah, he does walk by him one time, and this is even before this part of it, too.
Yeah.
He's like, all that hate's going to consume you.
Yep.
He's keeps me warm. And then when they're doing all of this guerrilla warfare stuff, Powers is like, okay, we're going to go here, and we're going to do this, because that's when they go in to liberate the camp, too.
Yeah.
It's like right before all of this.
Yeah.
So they go to that camp, and he's telling them, okay, you're going to go over here, you're going to give cover fire for this, you're going to do this, and we're going to do our basic flank maneuver and come over on this side, and we're going to do it. They're like, what's a flank? What's a crossfire? He's like, but I love the part, and I think Powers Booth's lines in this are some of the best lines of any movie.
Oh, absolutely.
They are well calculated and just completely badass, right? Yeah. Whenever the airplane's about to take off, right? So it's like,
oh yeah,
and he looks at the dude and he pops that grenade and he throws it in the back of the deal and he flips the guy off in the cockpit. He's like, fuck you. Blunk. And it just blows up. So their airfield's pretty much gone. They're F-150s or whatnot. The F-150.
MiGs, right?
Yeah.
They're Russian.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So he dies. They come back and they're just all, God dang, you know, Leah Thompson's all broken up. Everybody's just kind of, everything's wavering down. Right. So the mayor's son's there, but then you see all the Spetsnaz dudes are coming in through the forest and dressed in white with white, you know, face masks and stuff. And they got a weird, like, tracker.
Right.
So you're like, ah, crap. But they already know they're coming.
Yeah.
Which is badass, right? They knew their whole entire area. So they had lookouts. They were ready. They had all the machine guns in position. They wipe them all out.
Yes, they do.
Completely. Even C. Thomas Howell gets up and he throws the little sheath off his shotgun. Like, dang, right? So they get one, right? And the guy keeps they're standing on the big prairie or whatnot, and he's like, you need to tell us this and this. And he's like, my name is, he's like, we don't care what your name is. And they knock him down. And then he's like, they had this little thing. How does this work? And then he turns it on and it looks at the mayor's son. He's like, it's coming from right there. So he swallowed
What did you do?
Yeah. He swallows a tracking device.
Yes.
Oh. So, yeah. So
they kill him.
Yeah. Well, you know, Jed doesn't want to.
No.
Right.
No.
So
there is a lot of confliction in there.
Yeah. He kills the Russian.
Right.
He just blows him away
No
right
question.
there. Yeah, right in the chest. Boom. And then he goes towards, you know, the mayor's son, and he's like, please don't kill me. Just let me go. Please don't kill me, you know? And he's
doesn't he have a picture of him and is that the picture, is that of them playing baseball, like dressed in the baseball outfits?
Yeah, that's
So the same
Jed and
age.
that's Jed and his little brother.
Oh, I thought it was Jed and the mayor's son.
No, because afterwards,
Okay.
because he's kind of reminiscent about that.
Yeah.
And C. Thomas Howell just comes up and it's like, boom.
Yeah, he doesn't hesitate at all. Just
Yeah.
it's over for you, buddy.
Yeah, he's gone too far into it. There's nothing left. You know, there's nothing of the old way left. He's all about war.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so then you get that very, very emotional scene of Patrick Swayze crying in the snow in the mountains. And I had the time of my life.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
So yeah, they're basically like, God, we got to do something.
Well, this is where they start sending the helicopters after him.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, they spring that trap on them, right, where they drop the boxes of food.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a little too convenient.
Right.
Yeah.
There's like oranges and apples and cornflakes.
They just fall off. Like
Whoops.
even the way it happens, you're
I
like,
know.
no.
At first, they're like, "You go." They send Mikey out there to do the dirty work, right? So, yeah, she's out there. She's like, it's food. So they go start to eat and everything like that. They're being kids again, kind of having a taste of the good life, and that's when the helicopters, those badass helicopters come out and wipe out Jennifer Grey. And don't they kill one more person?
Yeah, 2 of them die.
Yeah. Well, they get Jennifer Grey in the fire from the helicopter, right? So she falls on Jed. They're getting away. C. Thomas Howell's like, screw this. I'm going to take them out with my AK-47. Just like Tom Hanks did to that P-42 from Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, yeah. Right on. I was like, what?
Where he destroys the airplane with his 45. No.
You get the right shot, I guess.
It just looks so convenient, but it's a tank that destroys it, right? He's like sitting up next to the motorcycle and he's shooting at it. And it's like, boom. Whoa, he did it. But yeah, so yeah, C. Thomas Howell gets freaking annihilated, right?
Right.
Which, I think at this point he's too far gone. He's tired. He's done. He's like, screw it. We're never gonna not be this way. We've had enough.
Right.
So Jennifer Grey's lying underneath a tree. She's about to die, and Jed's like, "Oh man, come on," you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And she grabs a grenade and she puts it underneath her before she dies. And there, the Spetsnaz dudes and all the other people are kind of around. They're like, "We only killed one," and the one dude is like,
13
let's
12.
Say we killed 13. He's like, "Are you okay with that number?" He's like, "Yeah, 12." What? So the misinformation,
right.
kind of naturally what you would do. And he hears that bomb go off. So basically, only 2 people got wiped out in that, and they killed I don't know how many.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's whenever they're back at the camp, and they're like, you know what? We can't do this anymore. We're done. Me and Jed are done. That's what Charlie Sheen says.
Yeah.
So you guys, we're going to cause a diversion to help you guys get out. You guys need to go. Get as far away from here as you can. Just,
and at this point, it's just Leah Thompson and
the other kid. This is where that comes in from earlier. He was the last one to get picked up on the truck.
That's right.
And they didn't even know him.
Yep.
And he was the last one to survive.
I think they knew him.
Well, yeah, but not in the same way that they knew most of the
other clique.
Right. So it's kind of a little bit, different that he was the last one to be there, and he was kind of almost one of the weakest ones at first. He's the guy that fired the arrow, so technically he's like one of the heroes of the actual movie.
Yeah, Danny.
yeah. And so they load up. They're in the gym at the high school,
right?
So we don't see them actually get there, right? And he's looking at the football picture of him and like the coach and his dad or something like, I don't know who else was on the picture, but you knew it was him. And Patrick Swayze's just like kind of, damn, I wish everything was back to the way it was. Right. This sucks. So of course, he leans back and he's like, "I love you, Maddie." He's like, "I know." He Han Solo'd him,
He did.
So they're basically going into town to create this weird diversion. And they go in there and they kill fucking shitload of people.
And we get that scene where the Cuban leader's writing the letter to his wife.
Yes.
And like you see genuine kind of remorse.
Yeah,
within the letter, like he's like, "I'm tired of all this. I just want to come home to you.
I didn't sign up for any
of this.
I just want to sit on the beach. I want to feel the warmth again. It's been so long since I've been warm, and that's why I'm turning in my resignation.
Yeah,
effective tomorrow or some shit like that, right? So of course he's about to leave, and he's got that somewhat compassion.
Yeah,
he's a smart tactician, which left to just him being there probably would have lasted forever. So he's kind of like, I've been defeated, but not really,
I think it's more about like he says early that he's usually on the other side of this.
Yeah, I'm on the other side, and this is the way it is. But then they come in and they freaking start wrecking shit, right? And that's when that William Smith kind of gets loose, right? Because they go out, they fire at him. William Smith grabs that badass machine gun.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell was that thing? It was freaking cool. It looked like a laser tag gun, right? So they're riding on the train, right, to go do some more bombing and stuff. And because he follows them. right? He sees him kind of running in one direction. He's like, ooh, hey. So he shoots one of them, right? You don't know who it is.
Right.
You get to see him jump off the dill, and he's looking for the body, right? Jed turns the corner and is like, hey. And like freaking like Old West style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He gives him a chance to turn around.
Yeah, I don't think I would have done that.
But
I'm not that honorable.
Yeah, he did
or
that.
that dumb.
Well, he did that for a reason.
Okay.
He wanted to die too.
Yeah.
You know, and that William Smith just right before he's like,
Yep.
and he just shoots him. So it was a standoff, right?
Right.
He was like, I'm going to die. Might as well die right now. My brother's shot, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So he picks him up and he takes him to the park because they alluded to the park, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, you remember when we used to go to the park? And I'd always be there for you to pick you up? Well, I'm not going to be there anymore. You need to do that yourselves. And so they go to the same park, right? Yep. And they're sitting by that big old giant gazebo and everything. And because right before that, the one dude from Cuba is like, got him deadlocked.
Yeah. He comes out as they're like kind of rounding the corner.
Mm-hmm. And you see the true character of that guy. He just looks at him. He's like, go. You know, so because he sees that they're both, you know, they're going to die anyway. And he just, the way he looks at his hands too, he's like, God dang it. Yeah. You know, but he lives, you know, so he's got to go tell the story of the way everything went.
Right.
And, so they both pass away. Leah Thompson and the other dude get to the other side.
Yes.
They actually make it out of the occupied territory.
To free America.
Free America, which is probably like Ohio. No.
I don't think so.
No. Yeah, it's Kansas.
No. Now I'm just going to leave it alone.
So then we get the whole deal because they had been using the rock.
Right.
You know, to kind of mark their dead.
Yeah.
Right? Mark who was still there and who wasn't, you know. Right before they take off, Jed's putting down all the names of all the people in their group.
Right.
Because there wasn't a total of 10 of them, was there?
I don't think so.
No, because that's what the original title of the story was 10 soldiers. Like TEN.
Oh, I thought it was TIN.
No, it was TEN, 10
Oh,
soldiers,
okay.
yeah. So I don't know how that was going to fit into it. It was probably part of the original draft.
Right.
Which, you know, you get to see kind of how they went on.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of the darkest days in American history.
Yeah, you get that closing scene where the plaque is on there now, and like they kind of read from it.
Right.
And, like, you know,
she goes to visit every once in a while.
Yeah. Talks about how mostly children gave up their lives, you know, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So that this nation will not perish.
Yeah. So that's our ender right there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you get this well-crafted movie. I mean, absolutely well-crafted.
Like I said, this is, and I don't know if I said this on here or when we were talking before, I was very surprised when I went to watch this the first time. Not the first time ever, but the first time for this show. And my wife watched it with me, and she had never seen it before. And I was like, oh, my goodness.
I do remember seeing this in like 86, 87.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And but even now, for her first viewing, she was like, it was really good. Right. You know? So,
right. It's not a surprisingly good movie, but it's...
And my wife doesn't really like violent movies. So, again, that kind of speaks to the tone of the violence. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though this was on the Guinness Book of World Records for most violent movie, obviously not anymore.
Well, the only reason why I was on there is because of the death per capita.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah.
Well, they did a lot of killing. Patrick Swayze did a lot of crying. And,
as Patrick Swayze will do.
Yes. You give him the opportunity, he's going to have power. And power in those tears. I watched this interview with C. Thomas Howell, how he was talking about them being really big friends and how Patrick Swayze was just good at everything, he said. He's like, man, I'd tell him I did this, and he'd be like, whoa, well, I got an Olympic gold medal in that. He's like, good God, Swayze. Like he was literally like one of the nicest and kind of very talented people, because he kind of put it like he didn't give you everything when he was on screen. I mean, come on, Roadhouse. Fucking Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, That'll
So-
rip your trachea out, that movie.
Well, you know what? And for the box office in this year, 1984, it was like the 20th at 17 million. I
What's the
think
budget? And the box office was 38.
but it was still the 20th highest grossing movie
Dude,
of that year.
1984, you had a lot of movies coming out. Gremlins, that was a Gremlins year. I don't remember what else. But I remember looking at that and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many movies that came out this year
I know.
that
Yeah.
were like, mainstays now. You're like, oh, that's like a cultural phenomenon,
Oh my God, yeah. No, it was a huge year for movies. Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
God.
You
And
go
it
wrong
was
with Temple of Doom.
no, hell no. Firestarter.
I am the
Dune.
Firestarter.
2010.
Still haven't seen it.
2010.
No, Dune.
Good. Oh well, just wait till
I
the new
am.
one comes out.
That's what I'm doing. You
Yeah.
told me
Yes.
like 2 years ago, and I'm like, I'm waiting.
Yes.
Still waiting.
Oh my God.
Go wait tomorrow.
There's 2 movies that came out: Supergirl and The Ewok Adventure.
There you go. Supergirl, you can watch on HBO Max now.
Oh yeah, the Popeye's Chicken.
Yes.
Repo Man came out that year.
Yeah.
Franken Weenie,
What?
Ice Pirates, Terminator, fucking Buckaroo Banzai.
Terminator. That's the other one I was thinking of.
Yeah. Oh, what Friday the 13th? Starman. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Yep.
So weird that 1984 was the final chapter.
I know. Right? Well,
Meanwhile,
you also had the Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons movie,
Runaway. Yeah.
Gremlins. Yeah, Karate Kid,
Yeah. That's
Greystoke, The Legend
Karate
of Tarzan.
Kid was a huge movie that year too.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop, Dreamscape.
Yeah.
Man, I think I might need to like change my year.
Oh yeah, yours was 86, right?
87?
No, mine was 87.
Oh yeah, 86.
Yours was 86 because your favorite Jason movie.
Yes, that's right. That's
favorite
right. That's
Friday
right.
the 13th movies. In there.
Yeah. Muppets Take Manhattan, Nightmare on Elm Street. Come on. There was
Yeah,
just
so there's
like
a lot of movies in '84 that came out.
Ghostbusters,
So I could see how. Ghostbusters. That was the other big one.
and Night of the Comet.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of like
Chud.
stuff that would have pushed us down to like 20th. Probably not Night of the Comet. Probably not some of the other movies that you and I love.
Friday the 13th, I think. Or no, not. Well, no,
maybe,
they always made a lot.
They
I
were
think
pretty popular.
That was kind of close to the tail
especially
end.
in that time.
Yeah.
But I think more like Ghostbusters, Gremlins, Karate Kid. I mean, just those three alone, you're like Temple of Doom. You know what I mean?
Ghostbusters,
I said
Revenge
that.
of the
I said
Nerds.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Revenge of the Nerds.
It
was a
did
big
come
deal.
out. Yeah.
That was a big deal for sure.
Jesus.
A little rapey, but it's a big deal.
Yeah. A little bit not right.
Some films just don't age well.
Yes. Jeez. But yeah, great movie. John Milius is a badass. Everybody that was in that movie was well placed, well cast. And being kids, in some of their first movies,
Absolutely. Early movies for
Yeah.
everybody, if
Yeah.
not their first movie,
like real movies that would be seen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And all of these people were a very, very, very big part of the 80s movies anyway.
Yeah.
80s and early 90s.
Well, like you said, this whole cast, I mean,
Yeah. William Smith, though, that dude is like everywhere.
for sure.
Which is crazy. And then Pepe Serna,
Yeah.
Serna, he was like yelling at his son, right? He was also in Buckaroo Banzai. Come on,
Right.
This was so crazy. Henry Dean Stanton. I don't know.
There's a lot of people in this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. So it was very well done. Everything was awesome. Overall, I would give this like 5 nuclear bombs out of 5.
Oh, okay. I would give this 4 out of 5 Wolverines. I mean, obviously, this movie was such a cultural hit, and like in the lexicon, like when we invaded Iraq, it was Operation Red Dawn.
Yeah, and then also to
It was when we were going after Saddam.
was it Saddam?
Yeah,
They were Operation Red Dawn.
their targets were like Wolverine 1, Wolverine 2. Come on, somebody was
yeah.
having a great time.
Yeah, somebody's like, "Oh my god, I can finally use this." Yes, can I be Jed? Jed Eckert.
Well, and like there was a lot of people, like I said, that were very anti this movie because of all the gun use and all of that. And it's like I don't remember who said it, but it was like a top 15 conservative movie of all time. But again, I felt the handling of that was really good.
Yeah.
It wasn't like everybody had AR-15s. Of course, it was 1984, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to start out.
And plus, you didn't have there wasn't that overdone bravado of, America.
Right.
Fuck yeah. But it was like, this is America. What would happen if you went to something like this? Would you fold or would you take over?
Right.
How would you be with this? And if it's just kids because all the parents were taken away, this is that's why they didn't put it in freaking like Colorado Springs.
That's right.
Or a city town.
Right.
But
it would have been different.
Colorado Springs would have been different because it's the military base. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Springfield, Colorado. Yeah. Maybe. Different things like that. Yeah. So they really, it was a smart movie though. Always has been.
I thought it was done well. Yeah. I don't have much more to say. I mean, it's just a good movie. I recommend everybody watch it if you haven't. You want to talk real quick about the remake? No. Okay, great.
Not at all.
Let's move along.
There was no remake. No such thing.
Not in my timeline. I live in a tangent universe where
Yes.
Skinny Josh never made that movie. So
Yeah, we didn't have that movie. That wasn't ours.
So go out and grab this movie on Betamax and check it out.
Yes, throw it on Laserdisc, however means you want to. Get the soundtrack on from Basil Palladorius.
Yeah, you can actually now you can download it off LimeWire though.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say check it out. Where was it streaming? Do you remember?
HBO Max.
HBO Max. There you go,
Yeah,
kids.
it's on HBO Max.
So you can watch it whenever
Good
you'd like.
resolution. I think it's 1080 now instead of 405. When it was before. It looks great though.
Yeah, it does
The
look
newer
good.
updated version of it does. Yeah. Well, if you have any stories about your Red Dawn experience or things that we didn't notice about Red Dawn, please send us an email. Get at us on them social media sites.
Yeah,
Bring it, and we'll discuss.
absolutely.
And you can go to dropculture.com. You can email us at dropculturepodcast@gmail.com.
Man, I'm
And
impressed.
also, everything else is under Drop Culture. I mean,
You can get us on the Twitter, the Facebook, Instagram. Just look for Drop Culture.
that's our deal. Because
And-
we picked that little bit of culture, like Dan said at the very beginning, and we hold on to it because we've been holding on to it for our entire lives.
That's right.
Now
I've
you
had
get
this hunk of pop culture stuck up my ass for the
Just-
entirety.
It was, well, we have hunks of Drop Culture from your grandparents up our asses, and it's uncomfortable.
That's
so
right.
now we just need to take them out
And give them back to
you.
you. That's right. Absolutely.
Pass them down. Don't leave them on the little kangaroo.
But if you want to do something for the show, feel free to jump on and give us a rating or a review. And whatever you put in the review, I'll tell you what, we'll read it on the air. Happy to do that.
Yes.
So even if you just want to make it silly as heck or tell us how stupid we are, we don't care.
Yeah, it's cool. We'll
Yeah.
fight you.
See the last Quickcast.
Yes. Yeah. Listen to last Monday's episode. Thank you.
And with that, I think we shall bid them adieu.
Adieu.
Wolverines!